and welcome back to the Draw Pod with me, your host, Elyse. In this episode, I will be chatting while doing a drawing for Peachtober, as I have been doing for the past month. It's been really fun, and this one's prompt is shadow, and I'm also kind of multitasking. Along with this being the drawing for the podcast and for Peachtober, it's also based off of the still life from this week's Still Here, Still Life. It's an account that I really like and I talk about quite a bit, and I've done other drawings from them, so be sure to check that out. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, if you're new here, this is a visual podcast where I draw something and chat with you as I go. You really don't have to watch the video to know what's going on, and if you prefer to listen to it on a podcast app, it's available everywhere. Also, if you want to watch the YouTube video, check out my channel, which is linked in the description of the podcast. And if you would like to see the final image, check out my art Instagram, which is at Elyse_draws. Also linked. So, welcome back to this episode of the podcast. I'm actually recording this pretty significantly later in the week than I usually do. I'm recording this on October 22nd on Thursday, and it goes up on Saturday. So, yeah, so pretty up to date. But yes, let's see. This episode is going to be a little bit shorter, I think, because I don't have a ton of footage of doing this drawing. I don't know why. I mean, it was kind of a fast one to ink. And also, I think I was just a little impatient with this piece and getting this recorded because we were about to head out to Canyon Lake. But this is going to be a shorter episode. I'm going to kind of ramble a little bit. If you like that kind of stuff, enjoy, get excited. I mean, I kind of have a theme of this episode after I go through all my my segments. But this specific episode, I'm going to kind of talk about art goals for November. Like I've mentioned, taking on Peachtober has been a pretty big endeavor for me and really fun. And I would like to continue to push myself to make art in November, but maybe with less strict rules and also actually using color, because I limited myself this month to pretty much only drawing in black and white. And gray, I guess, using the Prismacolor markers, which they've kind of dried out on me, and I'm kind of upset about that. I know I've used them a lot, but also I just bought them and they're pretty expensive. They're like $6 or $7 for a marker. So anyway, that's kind of what's up, what's going to happen today. So I hope you enjoy this episode. As for just a life update, I also, just for these, if you're new here, I go through a life update, something new I learned, and a book update for my segments of this podcast. So for my life update, as I mentioned in the last podcast, I got back from Canyon Lake about 2 or 3 days ago. I had a really fun time. I went there for my mom's birthday. She just got a little lake house, and I went there with my boyfriend and her and just another couple that's family friends of ours and my dad. And that was really fun. I got to eat some really tasty food. I got to ride on a little boat, even though it was pretty chilly. A cold front came through when we were there, but it was nice. And then I got to swim in the lake on the first day before it got cold, so it was fun. And then we did a tour of Canyonland Gorge, which is, I talked about this last episode, but it's basically just this big kind of canyon gorge thing that was carved out in a matter of 6 weeks, but most of it actually happened in about a day and a half. And that happened in 2002. I think I might have said 2006 last episode. But anyway, there were some big floods in this area of Texas, and it really just washed all of these big, big chunks of rocks away. It was really cool. So anyway, we did another tour of that. I've done that tour before. It was really cool. So that's what I've been up to. I also voted. If you haven't voted yet, you should go do that. Take advantage of early voting. My experience was super easy. I just went downtown, where I don't tend to go into like the UT campus area that often, but it was really fun to go there because I spent a lot more time there growing up. And anyway, it was really fun to see that part of town again and to vote. I'm really happy that it's over with. Even though, I mean, it doesn't make a difference, but like every time I watch Jeopardy, my mom and I have like the episodes pre-recorded, and there are just so many political ads right now. And I'm like, you can't get to me because I already voted. I mean, we all know how I'm voting, so it's not much of a, none of those ads would change what I would vote for or anything. So anyway, But yeah, anyway, it's done. I voted. I'm happy to get it done with. For some reason, it was just stressing me out. And I was like, I just have to get it done. And the lines were so long in Austin when early voting opened up. And so my mom and I decided to wait until this second week. So I did that, and you should go vote as well if you haven't already, or make sure your ballot gets in. And yeah. The next thing, I have already probably exhausted the topic of Peachtober with you, and I'm going to continue to talk about it until it's over. But speaking of it being over, I finished pretty much everything for Peachtober. I really worked ahead to make sure I got all of the prompts done. I know that it's not really in the spirit of doing Inktober to, work ahead and sketch in September and have things set up to go, but that worked really well for me, and this is the first time I've ever really successfully completed a month of prompts, and I think I grew a lot from it, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the episode, but I just wanted to mention it, that I finished everything for Peachtober. Everything is inked and done, and, well, there's one more that will be the last Peachtober feature on this podcast that I still need to ink, but it's all sketched. It's really pretty. Spoiler alert, it's a little bouquet of flowers, a vase of flowers. So I'm really excited to do that. And the last bit in my life update is that I hit 400 sales on my Redbubble, which is really exciting. And you might be like, oh my gosh, Elyse, have you made like $400 off of Redbubble? And unfortunately, I have not. For some reason, up until like maybe 6 or 7 months ago, I just hadn't increased my profit margins, like the percentages that you can charge people, because I thought people wouldn't want to buy my stickers if they were too expensive. Turns out people don't really care that much, as long as they're not ridiculously expensive. Anyway, so if I had my profits, or like my percentages at the level that they are now, I would probably have over $400 from Redbubble, but I don't, and that is okay. I'm really proud of this accomplishment, and I'm really looking forward to, for actually later today, I'm going to upload some more pieces to my Redbubble that you should check out. But it's been fun to work on. It's been a really fun project over the past few years, and I'm really excited to, hopefully, if I can, keep the ball rolling on it, I really would like to make it a good source of passive income. So really enjoy doing that. And if you're an artist, or if you're interested in having a place for people to look at your art, enjoy your art, use your art, buy your art, I think Redbubble is a really great platform for that, especially if it's just kind of little doodles or designs and you want to just put it up there and see what happens. So anyway, let's see. So now something new I learned. Honestly, didn't really learn anything new. I did learn a lot about Canyonland Gorge, but I think I've already exhausted that topic, and I don't want to regurgitate all of that information to you, but I had a really fun tour there. And but here's one fun fact about Canyon Lake, Texas, and the lake itself. Well, first of all, one cool fact that I already knew, but I'll share with you, is that Texas only has one natural lake in it. I don't know what that lake is. I didn't look it up prior to this episode. My mom and my boyfriend were talking about it on the trip. But that's pretty interesting. And Canyon Lake Gorge is not, or the Canyon Lake is not the one natural lake in Texas. So it was crazy I walked across the dam there, and it was crazy seeing that this was like a man-made dam and or I guess not a dam, but man-made lake. Anyway, super cool. And the fun fact I was going to say also is that if you own like a house on the lake, the way that things are built, they're built really far away from the actual like shore of the lake. You're pretty far from the water, and that is because of all the flooding and stuff. But the cool thing about it, I'm getting to, is that the government actually owns like a significant amount of the land up from the shore to your house to some extent. I don't know what it is. I bet when you buy a house, they go over like where your property extends to, but I just thought that was really interesting. And the guy on the tour said that if you want to use like some chairs or like a picnic table or some sort of thing that's built closer to the lake, that belongs to someone else, and you want to sit in it, and if they get mad at you, you can just say, this is public property, you don't own it, I'll call the sheriff and we can talk about what this is. And anyway, thought that was really funny and really interesting. But yeah, so book update, since I've been reading so much, I finished Don't Make Me Think. and I'm blanking on the guy's name. Check out the description of my podcast to get the info. But as for my review of it, it's a pretty good book for graphic designers to read, and I think it's an even better book for web designers and UX people to read. It's probably kind of like their Bible, but I don't think I would really recommend it for your just average person, maybe even someone kind of interested in art or design. It's not really great for that. If you're interested in kind of psychology, maybe you might be interested in this book, but I'd probably give it about 3.5 or 4 stars ish. But yeah, that's what I've read. And the book that I am reading right now is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I've heard of it before. I think Rowena Sai recommended it, and I think I even checked it out, but I never actually read it. I honestly don't know what it's about, but it's probably something about creativity, I think. So I'm gonna read it. It's on my Kindle. I'm enjoying it so far, and if other people like it, I'll check it out. I also have read 17 books this year, which is pretty crazy. It's been a long time since I've read that much, probably since like middle school or maybe elementary school. No, I read a lot of like kind of bad like teen novels. I don't mean like bad, but like just cringy looking back now. Like teen and tween novels whenever I was in high school, and that was really fun. So I read a lot then, but it's been a long time since I've read this much in one year, and it's been really enjoyable. And I'll probably read a lot more in November since I am cutting out social media. Really excited for that. I talked a lot about that more in last episode, but it's going to be fun. So, the specific episode topic for the week, again, there's not really much like specific I'm going to talk about. I'm going to kind of talk about art goals for November and Peachtober, and maybe I'll get to job hunting and YouTube. One note about YouTube that's cool is as like I'm recording this, I have 493, maybe 94 subscribers on my channel, and that's crazy considering I was at about 100 when I started all of this. So thanks to anyone who has subscribed and who is listening to this podcast now from my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to hit 500 subscribers probably pretty soon. And I'm just excited to see where the channel goes for the rest of the year and beyond. But yes, so Peachtober has been really fun and has occupied me a lot throughout October, and I think I've gotten a lot of really good ideas, and I've experimented a lot with illustrative styles that I like, and it was nice doing all of these drawings and just kind of going off the prompts and doing my own interpretation of them and not being worried about maintaining a specific style. My only rule was doing it in black and white in my sketchbook, and that was it. And I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed kind of the breadth of work that I made. And so I'm excited to maybe pull some of my ideas and sketches and drawings from this past month into November. And hopefully I want to maybe hone in on some different styles that I like and kind of play with that more. So that was a fun experience, and I'm really glad that I did it. I don't think I will be doing another monthly prompt exercise anytime soon. Maybe this is just an October thing, but I feel like I really improved a lot and I got to know myself and my art a lot more. So I'm really excited about that. And maybe I'll bring some of those drawings into November to do more gouache and ink work. I think I did a little bit of gouache and ink more in September than in October, but I really, really liked playing with ink because I don't know, the colored ink that I worked with in the past was not really that great, and it was kind of a shared resource. So that now that I finally have my own, I can use it, and it works pretty similarly to watercolor. I guess my only gripe with it is that I can't lift it, which is probably a good thing for me because I should be planning ahead and not needing to go back and erase, whatever. But it's really fun to work with and it dries pretty quickly. And I want to explore more color this month. I would like to use that ink. And then with gouache, like, dang, that was like my most popular Instagram post I've made on my art account. Was the Still Here, Still Life that I did using gouache. And I don't know, there was something really different about that piece for me. I just was, I don't know if I like let down what my guard and let down what I initially had built up in my head about painting with acrylic in that kind of way instead of painting with watercolor. And I don't know, I feel like I went about it with a more technical perhaps, or like intentional approach to it, and just focused on each object one at a time. And I just think that turned out really well, and I got a really nice piece out of it. So that was kind of like, that was my first time really seriously painting with gouache, and it just turned out so nicely. So I think I'm a little overdue for another gouache painting and maybe a few more of those. The only issue I have with painting, though, is that it's just kind of a lot to take my paints out and to clean them and to work with them. I don't know. I shouldn't bicker that much because that's art. I mean, that's why I love drawing so much, is because you really just need your pens and pencils and erasers, and it's not messy and it's easy cleanup. But I think, yeah, November, I also have a freelance project that I'm working on. It's a pretty significant one that's very illustration focused, so I'm really, really excited about that. Maybe I can share that with you later on, um, maybe in November or December, kind of once it's done. But it's going to be really great. And yeah, so I'm hopefully gonna be making a lot of fun art this next month. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah, Peachtober's fun. I want to do more colorful paintings and drawings and stuff. I also, I guess I wanted to mention job hunting a little bit. I have just been through it a little bit over the past few weeks. If you've been following this podcast, I guess I've been updating you along the way with my journey of trying to find a job, and I've just been applying to stuff. I'm kind of focusing more on communications roles, like being like the digital media coordinator, because I think I'd be really good at that. Like uploading YouTube videos, putting descriptions in, tagging them, kind of doing research to see what's going to be good, or you know what I mean, like descriptive tags, all that stuff, content calendars. I think that would be a really good way to exercise kind of the more creative part of my brain, or the more analytical part of my brain, which is about equally sized, I guess, as the creative part of my brain. And I think that would be great for me in a career to have a more analytical, calm type job, and then have my illustration be something I focus on as a freelance artist. I'll basically have 2 jobs or something, or 3 or 4, depending on what happens with YouTube. But anyway, I think I need to wrap up this podcast, but thank you so much for listening. I'll probably talk about a lot of this stuff more in the future, probably more job updates, but that's pretty much all I have for this week. So thank you again for listening. I really appreciate you and your time, and make sure to check out the final piece and all of the Peachtober pieces on my Instagram account. I'll talk to you later. Bye.